And I'm here today with Doug Cleverley, the event facilitator for the City of Owen Sound. Doug, tell me a little bit about what you do and how you utilize teen volunteers in your position.
Sure. Well, I coordinate events throughout the year, and for many of our events, we do employ teen volunteers. For instance, we've got a holiday-themed event called Festival in the Park, where we're looking for people who can do face painting and crafts, and also help with some of the outdoor activities and setting up and cleaning up and so on. So there's a whole range of fun activities that they can get involved with. And we have other events such as the New Year's Eve family celebration and some of our summer activities where the volunteers can get involved as well. You know, in my job, I see all manner of events, from corporate events to small community events, and people are often looking for volunteers. I think that it's a great niche for kids to get involved in, and there's a lot of things out there, a lot of fun things out there for them to do.
And what do you find are the best ways to attract or recruit teen volunteers?
Well, it's a challenge. When I started in this position, they brought in the 40 hours rule for high school volunteers. You know, they're required to complete 40 hours of community service hours and volunteer. I thought that it would be just logical to post the notices at the schools, and the kids would be calling me up and saying, "Hey, I want to volunteer for you."
Yeah, me too.
And my experience has been that we get very, very little response from the schools. My efforts primarily use things like social media and emails through my extensive contacts to find volunteers. Very often they are kids, they're the children of coworkers and colleagues and friends that end up volunteering for us at our events. But occasionally there's a little bit of a glimmer of light on the horizon, because organizations like the Y are stepping forward and taking some responsibility to connect teams to these volunteer opportunities. And I think we're starting to see some improvement in that area.
So what do you think the benefits are, both to the City of Owen Sound and to the teen volunteers, to volunteer with you?
Well, let's start with looking at the benefits to the teen volunteers. I mean, obviously, if you've got the 40 hours requirement, it helps you to fulfill that requirement, which is a graduation requirement. But in addition to that, there's I lost my train of thought there. The 40 hours, but it's also a question of when society as a whole, community as a whole, really depends on volunteering. And we all know that there's so many things that go on in our communities that just wouldn't happen if it weren't for the efforts of volunteers. And I think it's really important to get that volunteer spirit, that idea that volunteering is a positive activity in one's life, to get it early and to maintain it throughout one's life. So I really think it's a huge benefit, and I encourage organizations to get out there and look for teen volunteers. As far as for the city, we would not be able to put on the kinds of special events and the scope of events that we do without teen volunteers, and so we really rely on their help and their participation. So it's really a mutual benefit to have teen volunteers.
Now, one of the focuses of volunteering with teenagers not only is to recruit them, but to retain them, to have them repeat their volunteering for you year after year, or event after event. Do you find this is a challenge? And if so, how would you overcome it?
That's a great question. It is a bit of a challenge, and I think part of it has to do with, you've got to provide a fun environment for the teen volunteer, but it's also important to provide a little bit of recognition and some incentives as well. So some of our events, we might give a T-shirt away, or certainly feeding them is really important. Teenagers seem to really appreciate being fed.
That's true.
But and just providing a fun environment, fun experience for them. I know for another event that I'm involved with, which is not a city event, but is very reliant on teen volunteers, is Summerfolk. And of course, with Summerfolk, you're volunteering for X number of hours, but you also get a gate pass. You get to see the entire event outside of your volunteer hours, and that kind of thing is really, really appreciated, because there's a real value you can put on that, and so it's a great incentive for teens. So we need to look for those kind of incentives if we want to be able to retain teen volunteers.
And what do you see as the future for teen volunteerism? Do you think the 40 hours will continue? I've heard they may discontinue that, they may lengthen it, etc. Regardless, do you see teenagers as a whole continuing to volunteer to help their communities, or not? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I think that it's there's a whole spectrum there. I know before the 40 hours came in, there were teen volunteers, and it's not really that much easier to find them now that we have that requirement. I remember having a conversation with a teen volunteer way back when that requirement first came in, and she thought it wasn't a good thing because she felt that volunteering should be a selfless thing. It's not something that you do in order to fulfill a requirement at school. It's something you do because you want to. At the same time, though, I think it does help because it introduces the idea of volunteering, and if that's not a common practice in a teen's life, then it's a good way to kind of get exposed to that. I think that what we really need is we need the schools to be more aware and more involved. I think it's important for them not just post notices, but to really, maybe through their guidance departments or whatever it might be, to really get involved in encouraging and actively engaging the students and getting them connected with volunteer opportunities. And I would say that the requirement is a good thing, having the 40 hours. I don't think it necessarily needs to be more. I wouldn't want to see it decreased any, that's for sure. And I think that the key thing is to introduce it in the right way and to make sure that the philosophy of volunteering is being introduced, as well as the requirement for the hours.
Well, thank you very much, Doug. That's all I have to ask you today. Do you have any last thoughts?
Well, I just want to point out that we've got this wonderful photograph of Charlie Kelly, who was the master event promoter in Owen Sound through the 60s, 70s, and early 80s. And he's always been an inspiration to me, and I know that he brought a lot of young people on to volunteer in his activities as well. And I think that it's really important to take that mentoring role with young people and look for ones who are eager and want to participate, and give them more responsibility, because it will only pay off for them and for everybody that they're involved with in the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jackie.